Serbia, Macedonia again. Serbia does have a problem to get out from Belgrade concept and definition of its entire identity and integrity. Similar phenomenon as Washington and New York versus the rest of America. As a result, Serbia is today completely stunned that there is such thing as Kosovo, that they appear as never heard about, and appear that I have never been having any kind of awareness of its existence in any terms in which a state should be aware of its own historic heritage, especially when in question first account historic heritage or identity-related historic heritage. That is similarly as Israel not to be aware of Jerusalem. However, Israel is aware of Jerusalem and Serbia is not aware of Kosovo. Serbia is too much obsessed with Dunab to be aware of anything else. Serbia continues to be obsessed with Dunab and cannot see anything else than Dunab. And Serbia, therefore, is as Israel without Jerusalem. And that is never going to be same. Israel with Jerusalem and Israel without Jerusalem will never be same event. Why? I don't know. Maybe you do that your homework by yourself. Maybe you do something by yourself for a day. But my point is, the Jerusalem of Serbia is not Dunab but Kosovo. What that also means? That also means that you don't go in Jerusalem, conquest Jerusalem, and then you're Israel. What that means is that Belgrade does not have a right to occupy Kosovo because it's hardly aware of it. It should continue to be hardly aware of it. Kosovo does not need Belgrade. And Belgrade should stop thinking of Kosovo as it is their right to go out there and exploit it because they cannot have any other natural relation to that land. Why? Because they are already being taken by Dunab and obsessed by Dunab, and they are not capable to be obsessed with anything else. Neither someone as South Kosovo would like to be second hand or second place in anything. We are not talking about someone inviting themselves to the sword. We are talking about the sword. And Belgrade does not know how to relate to it. Belgrade still think they actually exist as well. The fact is they do not exist here. That is definition of sword. Maybe sword is similar as Dunab of Belgrade. Does not have time to notice anything else. And does not compromise with anything else. On first account. In conclusion, that means that Belgrade does not have jurisdiction or a right to represent Kosovo. Not now, not ever. We talk about territorial integrity on piece of land that is much closer to Macedonia than to Belgrade as a center. So it's much more logical that we find center in Macedonia, somewhere in North Macedonia, than in far away Belgrade with Dunab as its own centerpiece and its obsession with Dunab. We are not to obey second-hand story here. Not second-hand story. So we are talking about very specific terrain, very specific location. That it's much more closer to ancient, established as ancient Mediterranean plateau. We are associating ourselves with Mediterranean plateau, while Belgrade actually finds itself closer to Central European plateau. We talk here about two different sentiments and two different mental constructs. As where is going my attention and where is going their attention, it's not same event, and I just wonder why on earth their attention walks over my attention. I want this answered. I am the one walking with Italy, not Belgrade. I am the one walking with Spain, not Belgrade. I am the one walking with North Africa, not Belgrade. I am the one walking with Turkey, not Belgrade. I am the one walking with Bulgaria, not Belgrade. Okay, I might split Bulgaria. I might split Bulgaria, although that's going to be a point of laughability, ultimate one. Me splitting Bulgaria with Serbs of Belgrade. There's going to be another point of laughability. In other words, Belgrade in Serbia is out of Serbia, in fact. Verdict for today. Belgrade of Serbia is like Monaco to France. Belgrade is more like a San Stefan. And Belgrade should learn, get a lecture how to become San Stefan. Belgrade cannot be admitted to Serbia. Verdict for today. Verdict for today! I found myself irritated by the population of Belgrade. It is too much flamboyant, and it is too much as a act as a drunk sailors, and I'm not accommodated for that kind of character. I'm just sick of its cheap presence and cheap politicking, and out of its cheap identity. I cannot stand the entire unmoral presence, the tons of lack of moral and ethics and any kind of scruple, but above all, lack of real intelligence. I really have found gigantic potato north of Serbia, and I have absolutely no idea what to do with it. To border it out looks to me as most appropriate. So if it is that someone wants to take North Serbia, that is Vojvodina, do not dare to forget Belgrade. Just get that garbage away as well. Get the garbage away. And you can have your entire trade on River Dunab, unless some kind of atomic bomb stop you forever. This looks like a nice and solid end of our conversation, it seems. Get the garbage, the trading miserable garbage, out of the rest of Serbia. Get the miserable trading garbages out of the rest of Serbia. We, the rest of Serbia, are not, South Serbia or Kosovo is not trading territory. That is land of kings. And there is nothing more irritating for a king or a queen than to meet a tradesman. There is not bigger antagonism, disagreement, and hatred, or conflicting of identities, than between a king or a queen and a tradesman's. They will always consider for cheap, miserable junk of people. From here, I'm really not. I really wonder: is it at all that we need to blame Jewish for everything that happened in human history, including hazards, while ignoring the Singidunum city of Irish Celts sitting right there in center of Europe? Should we, and how far we should ignore Belgrade? And how far we should blame more Jewish, which are extension of South Serbia and real Serbia, versus the real disease in the region, and that is that disease called Belgrade, the European center of disease. If you're looking for coronavirus, center of coronavirus, you should look no further but Belgrade. If there is any definition of rotten children or rotten child, look no further but Belgrade. And if someone is going to say now that unfortunate city is going to lead the world, and all of a sudden full mouth speaking of America, all that means that Ireland successfully reunited with its city of rotten eggs. And no wonder the planet is getting boosted with exactly that kind of sentiment and that kind of movement. First of all, have we not already agreed that this is my work and I am not that much fond of Belgrade? Was that not enough explained by now? Was that not enough demonstrated by now? I am not fond of Belgrade. And if I have some kind of Celtic blood in myself, I am the master of it, not it master of me. I am the one confiscating and making whatever magic I want to make out of it. It's not going to happen that it is going to make of me anything, really, but waste of time, and I do not surrender to it. Not now, not ever. And the rotten garbages found excuse as it is Albanians. Now they have excuse Albanians, and they completely demolish and diminish the actual Serbia. So we use a word Serbia while actually in question Belgrade and politics of Belgrade. That is initial level of takeover right there on territory and face of Serbia. Take over first degree on level of Belgrade, which then completely, silently associate with America directly, because Ireland is too weak to play today politics in this world. But in America, they have become strong enough. They have become America solidly. So Belgrade united to America. Now it is uniting to its father via its rotten children politics. And the world is again under their feet. Under their feet. They have taken Russia on the meaningfulness of blonde color, which is as equal as to a corn. I'm not offensive. That is how you have decided to make a history. It is time someone to give you the stamp as well, because you have deserved your medal. And if you don't like it, then don't make it. But you are making it. It's going to be stamped as it is to be stamped, as a reward program to your 2 millenniums of building history on the territory. But to take over the world, that would be too much to ask for. And you should hear well this anger. Too much to ask for. To my kids and circles that are surrounding them. First of all, as my kids, they will not have right to start new music on their own, equally as Prince William or Harry. In this case scenario, Prince William would not have a right to start a new chapter on his own while born in the house in which he is being born and in a family in which he is being born. When it is in question historic heritage events and families associated with first account of historic heritage, nothing is on the next generation to fly away and make vulnerable the entire territory and the entire history that they have left behind. They hardly have understood it or hardly have been having any knowledge about it. Neither they should be understood and related to as such, because the consequences would happen sooner or later. If you have if there is a question person of some principal historic bloodline, you should be aware that that's not going to be a small story. You are actually relating to a prince of certain territory, and you should be aware that behind that person would be an entire new world, that you would know nothing about it. You would know about the size of it, you would not know about the actual stories, you would not know about the intensity of it, of these circles. Therefore, when it is in question prince of territories, that should be marked properly, so people will not find themselves burning later on for not knowing with whom they are interfering and how they should be interfering with people that would come on territories of New World. First of all, none would be relating to this level of performance if there is with such intensity and fast being unleashed, if there is no real material substance in all of this. If there is no real material substance in all of this, King Charles would not be giving vow for protecting the house. Where that puts my kids will certainly not on the status available to a public. Neither they should feel like that. I mean, as that they can run away with a ball wherever they want. Would Prince William behave like that versus his house? Would that be appropriate way of thinking of Prince William relation to his family? Why does anyone expect my son to behave as running with a ball? Or my daughter for that matter? And continue to speak about their perspective and their existence. And I'm going to tell you the basic rules. When a prince speaks to another prince, bring awareness of mutual integrity first of all. We are not monarchy of Greece. We are monarchy of Macedonia. And South Serbia. And I do not need your permission in order to happen I happen. And then we talk consequences of you ignoring my existence, including existence of my kids, and trying for millenniums to take over my kids and use them as a power ball for your culture and building of your culture. No monarch of this planet can be referred to as a power ball. But it's going to tell me for sure that my monarchy or our monarchy is higher and stronger than yours. And so you find yourself today on your knees. And that America on their knees. And it goes under investigation, the entire Powerball psychology and culture of America, land old 600 years and no more than that. Nothing here starts with America. Nothing here starts with America. And if that means that we rather need to return in Ireland, then return America in Ireland, because that is where is your founding father, and it is time that you start talking to your founding father, America. Because as from now on, I'm not going to talk to America anymore. I'm going to talk to Ireland, because I want to bring things to the attention at the exact point of dispute. Point of dispute is Kingdom of Macedonia and South Serbia versus Ireland and versus America. We don't talk here, therefore, monarchy versus republicanism. We talk Ireland as a tribunal society versus monarchy of South Serbia and North Macedonia. Monarchy I associate to ancient Macedonian house, because that is to what they have plugged. That is what they continue to roll on it and build out of it as a second hand. And I do not want someone to play out of me second hand of anything. Basically, that is where we disagree, on the fact that you continue to think of me as a second hand. And that is where this world will be splitting in as many halves as needed, as long as we do not understand where joke stops. I will never accept someone to use and misuse my existence and build this shitty world in which we found ourselves living. Lower competence will always be lower competence. And it will never be anything else but lower competence. Lower competence does not lead a world. The entire world is in leadership by lower competence. That shall stop right now. And America is under liability to understand completely the situation, or it would be disqualified upon not understanding the world in which they live. That would qualify you for incompetent to participate in further discussions of planetary levels. Get sober, in other words. But your Powerball psychology, your Powerball culture went out of leash for a lot. And that is now the biggest problem of the world. That is where even Russians stand against you. It is too much, even for them. That is why I take Russians on my side. Because they are not that wild as you are. Because they have been closer to me, to my identity, to my house of light and enlightenment. And you have been closer to your Ireland. And that is what is going to make profound difference between Russia and America. So to think that Russia is about to get on their knees in front of America is stupid wishful thinking. or we all of a sudden, oh look, or Serbia, that kind of disoriented fool of Europe, all of a sudden fascinated American journalist, positive attention providing to a Russian president. Oh, like we are waiting the great Americans to get in mercy to our millenniums active civilizational existence. And that is how the world will continue to look as long as the window continues to be Belgrade! Belgrade cannot be a window that is going to assess the relationships America and Russia, because Belgrade is American/Irish city. And we are not going to look at Americans as gods, by the way, while they're playing Powerball. That is kind of undoing it completely. I mean, the God perspective, the God certificate. Time to get serious. It's time to get serious. The measurement is not how much Americans are going to accept Russians. The question is how far Russians are going to accept Americans. Keep that on mind. As of now, that is simply out of question. Out of question! Two circles in my countries, that is South Serbia and Macedonia. There is only one way how you deal with corruption. Either you expatriate them or you put them in prison. That is under control, under complete control. House prison would be initially okay. If doesn't work, then a real prison would be next step. I am tasking my family members to immediately inform my kids of their actual real status and to accept complete responsibility for their full protection. In other words, I task South Serbia and North Macedonia to inform my kids that they are direct inheritors of the throne of Macedonia, and that they are under responsibility and duty to behave per house order and house protocol, in the same manner how princesses of England have to respect the house order. Because we are talking about 2 millenniums silenced, someone being silenced, and awakening after 2 millenniums, I am the one now reinforcing that order under weight of the work I have delivered, that is under the weight of information and realizations I have recovered that suggest a very clear presence and very clear in all of the history making of these bloodlines, to the extent that they have become actually the main roller coaster of the entire civilization as we speak, just in some sick-minded upside down ways. And today I am returning the pyramid in correct positioning. Do not take my word pyramid literally. I'm in reference to one of the oldest imperial principal bloodlines of Western territories, that is to which Western territories still completely deploy their entire presence as we speak, as you are aware, literally as we speak. No one can deny that. No one today can deny that for 2 millenniums they have been keeping their eyes on that bloodline for 2 millenniums. I therefore entask my territories and my bloodlines to immediately inform my kids that they are direct inheritance and they are under heavy responsibility to completely submit everything they do to my a reform here and to what I am trying to do here, and that is to recover the actual ancient history and reconnect it in most correct terms with the present planetary events. It is heavy burden situation. They will need to be asked to be aware of their positioning and to stop accepting random proposals and to stop accepting to be signing parties or to be authorities of the protocol that is not yet given to them. I have not given the protocol to them, therefore the protocol has not been given to them. No one have higher right to act otherwise in this instance, because I am the author of my work and I am the author of this stamp of awakening of the entire historic heritage house. I am aware, we are aware, we have become aware that there is some kind of Donald Trump branch that is, however, in category of my son house. My son has been born as my son. He therefore takes over the entire house, because we talk about house that exists on the original premises and it has to be associated with original circumstances. Here, positions of Donald Trump cannot be stronger than positions of my son or my positions. Verdict for today, Americans. And I advise you that you return in Ireland first, as that is your temple, before you continue to confuse the entire world, including yourself, about who you are and where is your definition sitting. Americans, it is sitting in Ireland. It's time to visit homeland. In real terms, Americans, without I letter, no one can be signing party to this planet, Americans. As anyone else that is as a Democratic Party drawing their heritage from the original ancient Macedonia, which by the way never happened officially declared and never get it officially formatted, they will need to be categorized as rotten children of the father Ireland, and as such far away from being more significant relevance in the entire situation as we speak. It is critical point here that my kids get informed that they cannot move for an inch anymore in any direction, as it is nothing of theirs here to decide upon, but to understand and comprehend out of what house they have been born and what is their responsibility and liability, equally as Prince William has understood that the moment he has been born. I have been having no such opportunity. Instead, I have found everyone else privileged to speak to my kids and direct my kids in whatever direction than myself and my own house. That will need to be now completely recovered. And everyone else, as far as it goes, punishment will follow. We talk about principal count of the good part of historic heritage of the planet, or should I say the most important to the in the perspective of the present civilizational style and development, the most important heritage house. If we need to launch punishment, it would be accordingly to first account offense. Overstep on these matters will be first account offense. Therefore, punishment present. As of babbling about Albanians, practice the motions of your tongue a bit more to spell out Illyrians, because if you have practiced your tongue enough to talk about ancient Macedonia, then returning in that time it would not be talking about Albanians but about Illyrians. So you have to understand how your mind exactly works. Impressively, that when we are in Macedonia, then it's ancient Macedonia and flag of ancient Macedonia, but when we go in present Albania, then it is everyone talks about Albanians, but no one talks about Illyrians. Can someone explain to me the way how their mind works exactly. Are you ready to go in prison for what you are going to say from now on? Only then you should be unrolling your stupid tongue. Yes, there is a certain percentage of Asiatic presence there. But then we are talking about imperial bloodline of the planet at the moment. I am pulling the sword of Alexander and before him. And that sword would have its size that would not find Asia that much foreign to its structure and mental and physical formulation. And then you notice your little Macedonia only as a part of the entire region. And then it comes to knowing how to play that little Macedonia in order to become big Macedonia. And since the formula is today with me, and so everything that comes out of formula, everyone else step aside. Of course, the formula is the stamp itself. We call it accordingly the stamp of the principal sword of the entire kingdom of Europe and Asia, all the way to China and Japan, including India. Now I would allow you to have your question, Macedonians. As I have understood, you have become very famous in the world by being cleaners and restaurateurs. Maybe you should think of yourself like that in continuation before you open your mouth and spell any another nonsense for another day. Give to any confusion to whoever is confused in the circles, give them to hear my words, so their confusion be replaced with Duma. Думання in Russian means thinking about. Yeah, thinking is an important process towards the realization as a final status of your identity and integrity. And if it is too much stretch for you to talk about either identity or integrity, then it seems to me we are again at lecture 1. But the flag, that flag, is not that easy. It is not that easy to hold. That flag is not that easy, neither to claim, neither to hold. And unless you understand that properly, don't you ever speak first, ever again. Difference between Macedonia and Greece or Hellenistic culture of Greece. Well, it is all on the surface. We just have to notice it. Hellenistic, Hellen. First of all, the word is a combination of English and Macedonian, which means written by Macedonian aristocracy. Well, any country does have its garbage. In this case scenario, this one certainly does have considerable amount of it. When for a longer period of time left to build with that much of a wealth in their hands, nothing than rottenness is going to start breeding out of it. He, Ellen, translates into he, the deer, and I wonder why he ended in a forest. Well, he ended in the forest because he was not acceptable in the society. Now let's close to that. Greece, careful with your blue color. Macedonia is my accent to Macedonian kingdom and the fact and to motherhood and importance of woman for building society and kingdoms inclusive. Let's keep that difference in perspective when Greeks continue to compete with me on facts of actual existence and actual work and actual identity, enclosed as it is. and the amphitheaters that I take with me as a female intelligence, as intelligence of female energy, as a starting point to the concept of intelligence on this planet. As even in ancient Macedonian history, it has been recorded at the earlier times. Everything starts from a Mother Earth. Therefore, the creative energy is female energy. Today I take amphitheaters with me because today I have enough time to do that. I have also found the history that has happened predominantly on European Asia, that is South European, that is predominantly Mediterranean region, which was sliding from Eastern Asia territories and colliding with European Mediterranean plateau, where the real cross has happened. Therefore, within the and by the energetic configuration of the European, South European, Mediterranean configuration, energetic configuration, now today someone is using it still as an epitome of West, continuing to march on East and control entire East. But I'm going to notice that West, the wild provinces of West, have ended to believe that they are the actual carrier of the entire event, and that the entire event of that conflicting line became their conflicting line, and became more of conflicting line than we would like and how we would like to find it in Macedonia. When someone sits in Macedonia and look at the world, will never be same as when someone sits in America or in Ireland for that matter and look at the world. At this point, it is not important even genetic charting. What is important is just the view and the perspective one gets and how one gets crafted as a little child. By that perspective generated, it becomes really very much about the regions, and you will notice here regions at some point here start to dance. What is dancing here are regions themselves and people living on the regions, and it will never be correct to go on the regions, take over the identity of certain territories, and start playing their game on their behalf. Neither that's going to be good for their people and for position of their people in that region. Neither that would be good for region, and at the end line, that's not going to be good for the one that have been playing a player without bringing sufficient sensitivity, or any sensitivity for that matter, to play such high-stake game on the region that actually does influence the entire planetary behavior in a consequence. This is now critical momentum to the entire situation. The critical momentum is that we cannot allow anymore these territories that have such critical position within all of the history, but also within the presence of the continents as they are, cannot be played as someone else's game field and as a second-hand event on their own territories. This size of event cannot be played as a second hand. This should be sealed now in this planet solidly enough. This should be now engraved, sealed, embodied on this planet, on these territories, strongly enough so it will never ever be forgotten. Accordingly, it continues my Millennium Aquarius project to rebuild ancient Macedonia completely. I'm not going to insist only on ancient Macedonia, just because it has become, because of Ireland and Irish, has become such a definition of Nazism. And that is why I'm not willing to play Alexander, because Alexander has become taken over child, equally as they're trying to do it today. And I'm fighting fiercely here to prevent them to take their hands again over my son and make who knows what kind of marionette out of him. Uh, that certainly is going to be very possible when you disable territories to such an extent, and when you disconnect them from their own identity, from their own history. This is enormous criminal. This high level of criminal that happened on these territories and the history of these territories, and that high level criminal will need to be now prevented, and these people should be seized on their lands, to be returned to their lands, and never again allowed to be spreading their pipes as far as they have been doing in 2 millenniums of time. We're talking especially Ireland and via Ireland, America. And if that means downfall of entire America, and so be it, because to be frankly honest, there is so little that one would feel defending there anyway. Now, how far I'm going to talk about real demolition? Well, I'm going to be bothered with that question as much as they have been bothered with that question while marching over our territories and over our bloodlines. Well, certainly not first on my list of being worried about. How far this planet is going to allow vandals to continue to walk on the surface of Earth is going to be, it's always going to be returning to them as a boomerang. Walking vandalism, but also making out of nations vandals, is not what's going to define the teaching or the school of the planet at the moment. And if a nation, a territory, a civilization cannot declare a school as their cultural setting, proper civilizational school, that culture and that setting should be declared province at once as we speak. And that is what America is to be declared today as assistance, because of that much of investment being launched on that sorrow of a land. We need to treat that territory as the assisting event to what we need to recover here. It's a millennium-long project because there's so much to be recovered. Above all, the comprehension, the mental configuration of the entire planet. So let's start from that point onwards. Here becomes vital to deal with consequences of Yugoslavia holding the territories in last century to quite an extent, and crafting the population there very much per status, when it is in question status relating. The one that would be higher today positioned as well as we speak would be actually as a result of reward programs within the protocol Yugoslavia, which is completely Singidunum / Belgrade / Irish driven and American backed event. So we would be talking about corruption to great an extent that would be sitting there on the territories as we speak, which would be corruption going via Belgrade, via Ireland, America-driven corruption, Republican Party predominantly. I'm going to repeat, that would be very much consistent with Yugoslavian protocol and how Yugoslavia was building powers and status society very much on parameters of excavating the original historic heritage subject and building America as a result of it. Growing America as a result of it. And bringing all the money to the second-hand event, either geographically or genetically and culturally for that matter, which becomes now biggest question is what kind of culture become rewarded by such ancient wealth generation and ancient capacity to generate wealth. As you can see from my example, the one that cannot be would be seen either as a players, the one that would be seen as a good enough to be players would be handled as a ball to be played by the one that would decide how that ball is going to use. As a result, what exists at the moment there as a power center or as a power ball, as a power center, cannot be readmitted in my protocol because by a definition they stand on 180 degree opposite to where I am. They would be complete opposition. I'm going to remind that they would be questionable because of would be crafted by Yugoslavia, would be crafted by Ireland, would be crafted by Britannia, would be crafted by interests of West world, by interests of America, and would be used as a pipes versus our domestic territories. So instead that we build and rebuild and recalibrate and recover our domestic territories by our own original step and within our own interest in first place, we submit our own interest and everything else and we become servants to Western hypocrites, mafias, and disoriented, rotten children promoters and rotten children teachers of civilization. I cannot accept or admit these people in my circles. Neither I can give them right to declare any kind of power or wealth for that matter. They would be asked to drop entire wealth that is in association, and certainly would be in association completely with their activities, if it is to be established that they have been acting against the interests of their territories, which therefore I become the account that is going to confiscate all of it and to set them in the mode of on their knees and then the situation handled accordingly. Obviously not given trust, obviously status, not given trust. We might talk also probably about some kind of expatriation as well. If we talk about seriously compromised characters and seriously disoriented and confused characters. Here the role of Japan and China is important. I'm going to notice that they have squared China and Japan at the very beginning as I started all of this. Obviously knowing exactly and precisely to what I connect on some kind of first account. I don't know why they certainly found Japan eager to break it again. I hate that. I cannot express enough how far and how much I hate when people act as wild cowboys rather than to behave as in the way how I behave and talk in the way how I talk. I'm going to find the way how they treat Japan is too extreme, and seriously is on the level of mental illness or madness. I really don't know how much is going to be enough for these people, but to take 90% of the planet and to squeeze Japan on 1% of the planet and still feel like they are endangered by Japan, I cannot express how much disgusted I am by such politics, how much disgusted I would be by such people, and how much hatred I would be developing versus such people. So let's do not overstretch ourselves talking about readmission at all. Staying alive would be a bonus, would be a reward. Everything else would be a bonus.